repeatedly promising to halt oil drilling on public lands. Today we learned from the Biden administration that he has officially approved ConocoPhillips Willow Project, which is a massive oil drilling operation in Alaska's largely untouched North Slope.
There it is. Liar, liar, pants on fire. But he doesn't care. His massively dangerous approval of the Willow Project is being met, though, with some legal resistance. Take a look at this reporting from Common Dreams. Green groups sue to fight Biden approval of illegal Willow Project. Jake Johnson, Common Dreams, coming through. The first lawsuit filed by the public interest law firm Trustees for Alaska accuses the Biden Interior Department and two of its agencies, the Bureau of Land Management and the Fish and Wildlife Service, of violating their respective duties under the National Environmental Policy Act, the Alaska National Internet Lands Conservation Act, the Naval Petroleum Reserves Production Act, and the Endangered Species Act by greenlighting ConocoPhillips Willow Project. Y'all better go ahead on and name each and every one of them acts. Listen, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They did that. The legal challenge specifically faults the federal agencies for failing to consider alternatives that would further reduce impacts to subsistence users, precludes drilling in sensitive ecosystems, or reduce greenhouse gas emissions or climate impacts. But more groups have since jumped in, as they should. Jump right on in. On Wednesday, the Biden administration faced an additional lawsuit filed by Earth Justice on behalf of an alliance of conservation groups, including Defenders of Wildlife, the Center for Biological Diversity, the Natural Resources Defense Council. What a way to come together. The Biden administration has tried to downplay the effects of the Willow projects. Of course they will, because they want this to happen despite the president's campaign promises. Don't believe your lying eyes and don't believe your lying ears. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. He said it, but he didn't really mean it. You know, all these kinds of excuses these folks gonna come up with. The Biden Interior Department, headed by Deb Haaland, a former Willow opponent, has insisted that the version of the project it approved substantially reduces the scope of ConocoPhillips. You know what? And I got a glacier I'm gonna sell you. You know, Jessica, see, this is kind of double speak that people in this country are sick and tired of politicians playing games. Just be real with it. Just say, look, the man lied. Or if you don't want to say that, just say, hey, he changed his mind. Have the grace, as JB said, have the grace. Jessica, your thoughts?
Yeah, have the grace to admit when your boss was wrong. Your boss campaigned on this. Biden told everybody no more approvals for drilling on federal land. This was a reason environmental activists went to the polls and voted for him to be the president. And it's not like he said, okay, you know what, we're gonna approve the Willow Project, but we're gonna make sure this massive oil company actually has to pay for some of the transition to renewable energy. No, he said, go ahead, you're gonna be able to extract 600 million barrels of oil, the equivalent of the annual emissions of 74 coal plants. There will be damages from this. So not only should we sue now to try and prevent it, but there should absolutely be lawsuits for the damage done by this drilling, because oil companies are profiting endlessly. The 5 biggest oil companies in the West profited a combined 200 billion, over 200 billion in 2022. How much of their profits will be reinvested in a transition to renewable energy or go towards the mitigation of climate disasters? None. The law says none. Joe Biden, when he approved this, said there are no contingencies. We're not going to require them to do that, but they should. That's absolutely what should happen whenever we approve federal drilling throughout history. He shouldn't be approving it at all, but that's the situation we're in. And so they should absolutely sue now and sue later if this goes forward.
Yeah, keep on suing. And you know what? I'm not even mad at Deb Haaland. I mean, she works for the president of the United States of America. And when you have a cabinet position, you can get with your principal, tell them how you feel about it. But at the end of the day, it was his name on the ballot running for president, and she has to put forward his will. But Jesus, Mary, and Joseph have the grace. That's my new buzzword now, JB. Have the grace, sir, to just say that your owner donors are in full control and that you lied on the campaign trail, that you didn't mean any of what you said. When you said it, you were just lying. And to have all of those younger people from Sunrise and other younger people who really believe in this and understand the impacts of this kind of stuff on their future, it impacts us right now and it impacts us into the future. So just say you lied. He should have the decency to come out and say, hey, I changed my mind. I think people would have more respect for that. But thank God for these environmental groups suing. And Eric Graff of Earth Justice put it bluntly, there is no question that the administration possessed the legal authority to stop Willow, yet it chose not to. It greenlit this carbon bomb without adequately assessing its climate impacts or weighing its options to limit the damage and say no. Go ahead, Eric, make it plain. Let me just throw this in there. Don't Look Up. I recommend that movie for everybody. Shout out to David Sirota on that.